I am scared my husband will hate me again during second pregnancy. How do I believe him that it'll be different? Me 33F and my husband 34M have decided to start trying for another baby. I really want this baby. I love my first and I'm ready for another baby. However, I'm terrified of how my husband will treat me when I'm pregnant, and I'm looking for advice on how to cope with this fears/get over them. My first pregnancy was unplanned when we were engaged. We figured since we were planning kids after we married anyway, that going through with the pregnancy made sense. Then I lost my job. And we got an eviction notice. Landlords were selling. With the move-out date being right after the baby's due date. Job searching was a nightmare, and I had no idea how to navigate lying at interviews and then dropping the pregnancy bomb. My now husband told me to just focus on the baby, he'd support us, and after I'd given birth, then start looking for a job. However, he very quickly began to completely resent and hate me. I know that the root of it was the financial and mental stress he was under supporting us. I don't think he realized how hard it would be. But he was so annoyed at me every time food made me sick, every time I had a craving, every time I asked him to lift something heavy. He never wanted to hear baby name suggestions. I actually picked our child's name with a friend. He complained every time I bought anything for the baby. I was suddenly no longer fun. I couldn't go out drinking all night anymore. I was tired and sore all the time, and we were now completely broke. He complained constantly that he didn't know what to do to help me. Even after telling him I just needed a glass of water and a hair tie. He told me he wasn't planning on taking paternity leave as his boss told him it was pointless for him too. I just said okay. At that point I entirely focused on the baby and trying to get through it. Once my bump started to show, all sexual desire on his end came to a halt. I'll never forget him physically recoiling when he accidentally touched my bump on one of the very rare occasions we did have sex. There was so much more that I can't fit into one post. But the lack of physical attraction was probably the worst bit. I didn't realize how much of my self-worth I put on being attractive. Not being able to afford maternity clothing and the bits I could afford looking awful really didn't help at all. Labor. I had a lot of family support, which was good. Once the baby was born, he did a complete 180. He took paternity leave and was upset he couldn't take longer. He panicked at the hospital because he didn't know if we had everything we needed. He looked so ashamed after I told him I had already bought second-hand essentials with my dwindling savings. After I said the only thing I couldn't get was a baby monitor, he rushed out to buy one. He did diaper changes, night feeds, and walks everywhere. He's a really good dad. On our end, the romance resumed immediately after the birth. Suddenly the hugs and kisses were back. After 6 weeks he was begging for sex. He had to wait a lot longer though. Somehow, that was more upsetting to me. It just really fueled the thought that it was me being pregnant that turned him off me, since now that I wasn't he was all over me again. Made me cry a lot. On his end, he insists that the financial stress and moving house killed his sex drive. It had nothing to do with how I looked. After I'd had the baby, things calmed down, his sex drive returned. We've talked about it in depth a lot since. I've gotten nothing but apologies and reassurances. He was stressed out and scared. He had no idea what was going to happen after the baby, and everyone in his job kept telling him his life was basically over. Being the sole breadwinner was a huge strain on him. On my end, I know that I was probably very demanding and annoying. I was sick all of the time, and always complaining. It's been years since. We're in a much better financial situation. We're married. We own a house. I'm back in work with much better job security. We both want another child. I want another one. The situation is entirely different. But I'm terrified. What if he just goes back to hating me? And finding me ugly again? I don't think I can handle the scorn and disregard again. Currently I keep telling myself that no matter what, I want another baby. Me. And I'll make sure I look and feel gorgeous for me and just me. I don't need him to be nice to me or attracted to me. I can be nice to me and like myself. But the thought of him acting the same way still makes me very upset. I also now know from experience that even if he thinks he'll be different, how he feels in the moment is another thing. So yeah, I'm looking for advice on how to not feel upset, believe him that it'll be different, and tips on how to feel good about myself while pregnant. It doesn't help that I hate most maternity wear. It's all so frumpy and basic to me.